Hey there, Mr. Reddit here. Welcome back to another episode of r/Entitled Parent Stories. Our first story we'll be reading today: The Tale of Two Kids, Two Parents, Dungeons and Dragons, and a Game Store. After that, relatives invited for dinner assume they're staying the night. After that, maybe she should have just shaved his head. And after that, don't you know who I am? Haven't you seen El Camino? If you cannot stand entitled people, please let me know by smashing that like button. And if you're new, please subscribe and turn on notifications for new stories from Reddit every single day. And if you'd like Karen to record a custom message for you, visit Mr. Reddit on Fiverr, link below. The Tale of Two Kids, Two Parents, Dungeons and Dragons, and a Game Store. Once upon a time, there is a game store. Every Wednesday, this game store hosts Adventure League, where players looking to play Dungeons and Dragons will get placed in one of the few existing groups consisting of a bunch of strangers. Those who are familiar with D&D would know the age-old dilemma of too many players, not enough DMs. This is especially true with one certain group consisting of the Dungeon Master, the Quiet Girl, not important, Steve, the Town Guard, awesome dude, but also not important, Tweedledee and Tweedledum, two best friends no one has ever seen apart, also not important, Dak, the author of the story, good parent and good kid. This group already had 7 players, a number which would make most balk, but this DM was a trooper. Now, good kid is young enough that he didn't always get the nuances of playing with more mature people. Tweedledee and Dum were in middle school, but they were also mature enough to understand that playing with kids is very different to playing with adults and acted appropriately in a non-disruptive manner. Good kid has his moments, but good parent was always there to rein him in and calm him. You know, like an actual parent. Good parent would also make good kid read the game rules and adhere to them instead of letting him play however he wanted. You know, like an actual parent. Sometimes he would also talk to good kid about the do's and don'ts of role-playing and how to not upset everyone around you. You know, like an actual parent. For months, this group was cruising along in harmony until one day when the entitled parent and entitled kid attacked. This large group of 7 players and 1 DM was suddenly saddled with an 8th player, Entitled Kid. Entitled Kid, who has never played, is unfamiliar with the rules and is even younger than Good Kid. "It's just for now until we can find him a better group," says the store clerk. "I mean, you have Good Kid and Tweedledee and Tweedledum who are kids. Surely one more won't hurt." "No worries," says DM. "I'm fine DMing for large groups. I suppose this will be okay." "Yeah," agreed the poor naive Dak. "I'm always happy to introduce new players to D&D. "He's a bright kid," says entitled parent. "He picks up things really fast. He'll learn the game and the rules in no time." And then she leaves her 7 to 8-year-old kid in a store with a bunch of strangers for 3 hours. Spoiler alert, entitled kid did not learn about the game and rules in no time. At the end of entitled kid's first session, it became painfully apparent that his age or his status of a newbie was not the issue. No, he would not sit down and listen when the group tried to explain the rules to him. He would climb on top of a stack of chairs and stand on them. He would talk non-stop about the most random things that were not D&D related and seriously distract the group, all who were trying to play. He would move miniatures around the battlefield and mess up whatever was happening in the battle. He thought his character was Thor, who could throw his battle hammer once and kill all the bad guys. Spoiler alert, D&D don't work that way. Most egregiously of all, he would take the store's merchandise and move them around or hide it. "But Dak," I hear you say, "why weren't any of you watching Entitled Kid? He's part of the group now, right?" Actually, no. It's only temporary until there's a smaller game, since the group was already so large. Actually, the group did watch him for the first 2 sessions. Coincidentally, the group did not get much playing done during those 2 sessions. Every single week, entitled parent would drop entitled kid with us and leave to Buddha knows where. It became very apparent that she saw this group as weekly babysitting. Also, to play in the store, You'd have to pay $5 each session. This group was paying $5 each to babysit a kid who didn't know how to play, didn't want to learn how to play, and was giving them a massive migraine. DM began complaining to the store, but since Entitled Kid hasn't done anything illegal in their eyes, Entitled Kid had placed all the merchandise back in their rightful places after DM yelled at him, and the store wasn't concerned that he might do it again. They wouldn't kick him out. DM then requested that Entitled Kid be moved to another table, but other groups were also full, so they were stuck with him until new DMs show up to run their games. DM then tells Entitled Parent of Entitled Kid's behavior and requests that she teach him the rules. You see, Entitled Parent claimed that she played D&D when she was younger and she knew the rules. Perhaps she can teach Entitled Kid how to play the same way Good Parent taught Good Kid. Amazingly enough, Entitled Parent did not blow up at DM for accusing Entitled Kid of bad behavior. She said she would talk to Entitled Kid on how to behave. Spoiler alert, she did not talk to Entitled Kid because he acted even worse than before. Okay, but how's Entitled Parent entitled? I hear you say. Yeah, expecting the group to babysit is bad, but it could be worse. Maybe she's tired. Being a mom is a thankless, constant job. It's just 3 hours a week, and she hasn't done anything entitled. Well, my dear reader, who conveniently glossed over the fact that everyone paid $5 to play D&D, not to be free babysitters. Luckily, I have news for you. DM has the phone number of every group member. In Entitled Kid's case, he has Entitled Parent's phone number. According to him, Entitled Parent is seeing the writing on the wall. She knows 8 players is too much for most DMs to handle. She knows Entitled Kid is disruptive to the group and no one likes him. She also knows there's a 99.9999% chance that Entitled Kid will not stay in the group, especially when the store clerk confirmed that his placement is only temporary since day 1. DM told us Entitled Parent has been asking him to kick someone out of the group to make room for Entitled Kid. The people whom he had been playing with longer and whom he actually liked and formed a bond with. To her very little credit, she didn't yell and demand her way. The good news is more DMs came to the store looking to start a new game. Entitled Kid was immediately placed with someone who knew how to deal with kids, knew how to make Entitled Kid behave, and is infinitely more patient than the group was. The bad news is DM had to leave for a year to do job training with the promise of returning, and Dak has taken over as the group's new dungeon master. Dak also has a session tomorrow and still isn't completely prepared for it because she greatly procrastinated to write this story. Next we've got relatives invited for dinner assume they're staying the night. My dad is the only member of my family with whom I have a close relationship, as he is the only one who accepts my choice to remain child-free and focus on my career and travel. As for my stepmom, stepbro, and his wife, uncles, aunts, and cousins, all of them have given me heck for my lifestyle. I'm in my mid-30s now, and ever since I had entered my late 20s, they began badgering me to get married, preferably to a man my father chooses for me. I'm Indian, so you can imagine how this goes. I get the usual BS bingos. Who will take care of you when you're old? You're selfish for only thinking about yourself. You need to marry and breed because that's what women do. Around 4 years ago, I finally got sick and tired of them and decided to ignore their calls and texts. I've only maintained low contact with my stepbrother because he was not quite as horrid as the others. I was never close with these people to begin with, so it wasn't difficult. For a while, they took to harassing my dad to get him to get his daughter in line, but he shut them down by saying that it was my life, my decisions. At the time when this incident took place, a certain crisis had arisen in my extended family, one that directly affected my dad. I don't want to go into details, but it compelled me to interact with these people again. So my stepmom's sister, her husband, their teenage son, along with their grown son, his wife, and their toddler came to our city to discuss matters. My dad and I decided that we can all chat at my place as it's close to the airport. So all of these folks, along with my dad, stepmom, stepbro, and sis-in-law and their baby are at my place. We all ate dinner and talked about the issue at length. However, it was quite an ordeal for me as I had to constantly tell off the toddler, stepmom's great niece, as she kept trying to grab my cat and dogs or make loud noises at them. I asked her parents to intervene, but they just laughed it off. My pets are very well behaved, but are not used to being around kids, especially if they're annoying little brats whose parents refuse to discipline them. As soon as the discussion was over, stepmom's sister asks which of the bedrooms was for them. I was caught a bit off guard and asked her what she meant. Her husband chimed in and asked, rather demanded, that I get 2 of the bedrooms ready for their family. We'll be spending the night here. Oh, and breakfast had better be served before 8 in the morning, as we don't want to miss our flight. He said this with the matter-of-factness of a seasoned parasite. This was my breaking point. Not once had I indicated that they would be staying at my place. I just offered to host them for dinner once. That's it. Even my dad was shocked. I told them very bluntly that I'm not particularly fond of their family and do not feel comfortable letting them spend the night. Also, how the heck did they get this ridiculous idea anyway? Now my stepmom flared up. She no longer speaks to me directly, so she began asking my dad why his daughter could not put up family members in her home for one night. How can she be so selfish? My stepbrother's kid chose this exact moment to start bawling. So my sister-in-law told her to stop yelling as the baby was getting upset. Thanks, kid. I told everyone in a firm voice that we've discussed what we were supposed to discuss and it was time for them to leave. Stepmom and her sister walked out grumbling. Everyone else followed. The toddler's mom asked if her kid could pet my dogs. I just said no with a straight face, which seemed to upset her. The baby was still bawling like a champ, so no one was able to say anything else. I never even wanted these people in my home to begin with, so letting them spend the night was obviously out of the question. If they had asked beforehand and asked politely, then I would have considered it. But I refuse to be a doormat for jerks who can't keep their entitlement in check. Next we've got, maybe she should have just shaved his head. I went to one of those walk-in haircut places, the kind that are just super. It was pretty slow and early morning, so there was only one stylist working. There were 2 people ahead of me, a guy and a boy about 8 to 9 years old. Important to note that this place is in a mini mall type shopping center at one end of the stores, and there's a large chain grocery store at the other end, but it's about a half-mile between them. The boy gets in the chair, and I hear the stylist ask, "What kind of haircut are you getting today?" The boy, "I don't know." She mentions it's a little long and tries asking if it's normally like that, or has it been a while since the last cut. Boy, "I don't know." She tries asking him, "Do you usually get it cut?" Boy, "I don't know." She tries looking at his hair, combing it, and says she sees it shorter here and looks like this there, and tries specific questions. "Do you usually have the sides shaved a little? Do you keep it a little longer on the top?" Every question is met with, "I don't know." Finally, the stylist says it might be better to talk to his mom or dad. She looks at the waiting area. Still just me and the other guy waiting, asking if one of them is here. Boy says no. She asks, are they waiting outside, maybe having a smoke? Boy says, "No, she's not here. She told me to wait here." Stylist gives up and tells the boy she doesn't want to ruin his hair with a wrong cut, so he'll have to get out of the chair. She takes the next person and cuts his hair, then it's my turn. At least 30 minutes have passed since the kid was in the chair. She just started my cut when finally in walks entitled Mom. I can hear a woman's voice behind me asking, "Are you done?" And I don't hear the kid, but we all hear the answer. She didn't yell, but she got that fed up, frustrated attitude, starting with the kid. "Well, why not? What have you been doing all this time?" She then marches over to the stylist. "Why didn't you cut my son's hair? It's been at least an hour and he hasn't had his turn." Stylist. "He did get his turn, but he couldn't tell me how he usually has his hair cut or how you wanted it today. I wouldn't cut it without knowing what you wanted done." "He should have known. It's just a cut. He still needs it, and I don't have time for this. I have food getting warm in the car." Yep, there it is. She left her 8 to 9-year-old kid in a hair salon for an hour, told nobody there she was doing this, and was food shopping in a giant store a half-mile away to save herself some time. Stylist. "I'm sorry, but I have someone in my chair right now. It's going to be a few minutes. Entitled Mom turns to me and says, "You can wait. I have food in the car. Just get up and let him get his hair cut. You're not going to mind." There is no me in this story because I just stared at her. About 10 different replies from the polite to the not suitable in front of her kid rolled through my head for about 3 seconds, but the stylist jumped in first. Stylist: "Sorry, but I've already started and this customer has waited her turn. If you can't wait until I'm done, you'll have to come back another time." There was no blow up. I expected one, but it didn't happen. This woman was more of a slow burn type. Entitled Mom just stared for a second. Her face got red. She spluttered a little, then humped her way out, grabbing her poor kid by the arm with a brusque, "Let's go." Maybe she weighed going nuclear and creating a scene against her melting ice cream, and good sense finally won out. Both the stylist and I just sort of laughed and shook our heads after she left, then went on with the haircut. Honestly, I still don't know what's worst. The attitude that the kid should have been able to discuss hairstyle on his own, or that she thought it was okay to leave him without telling anyone she was doing it and where she was going. Not that the salon would have let her do this had they known, and with no way to contact her if something did happen to him. Next we've got, "Don't you know who I am? Haven't you seen El Camino?" My best friend works in a furniture warehouse, and it's a very chill job. I'm a freelancer who works off a computer, so when things are slow for him, I hang there to work on a more comfortable sofa and we chat and whatever. So, since I'm in the furniture warehouse a lot, I've come to develop a decent understanding of where things are, and even an opinion of which brands of couches and mattresses I prefer to others. Sitting working on a laptop, people often mistake me for a store employee. If someone asks a question in earnest, I usually try to answer it, always first saying, "Well, I don't work here, but..." Today was one of those times. I was working and a sweet old lady asked me where to find something. I started to give her directions, but she looked blank, so I just walked her over there, discussing her new easy chair with her as we walked. She found what she was looking for. An annoying woman and her daughter flagged me down. We've got annoying woman, we've got her daughter, and we've got my friend. Annoying woman: Hey, I've been here 20 minutes already. Can I get some service, please?" Me: "Oh, so I don't work here, but I can go find my friend." "Just because this isn't your section doesn't mean you can't help me. This place isn't that big." "Oh, no, I don't work here at all." "Come on. What? You're going on break?" "No, miss. I am not employed by this store." "Are you going to help me or not?" Did you hear anything I just said? She gives me a shocked look. "I have been a loyal customer of this chain for decades. If you don't help me, you'll never have my business again." Unless you needed digital editing done, I didn't have your business to begin with. My friend hears the commotion and comes over. Friend: "Hey, what can I help with?" "Your employee has been very rude to me and my daughter. He cursed us and everything." "My daughter heard it, right, sweetie?" "I shop here all the time, and there isn't a discount big enough to fix this. I need to speak to a manager, or a manager's manager or something." Her daughter: "Yeah." My friend knows pretty much the only remains of my Christian upbringing is I still never curse. Instinctually, I'll be a gosh, golly, darn person until I die. So he put together pretty quickly what had happened. Important thing to know, I look kind of like Aaron Paul. My friend and I had just been discussing it earlier in the day because of El Camino coming out. My friend: "Wait, I knew I recognized you. Sir, oh my God, it's such an honor to meet you." I didn't know what he was doing at this point. Annoying woman: "Are you talking to him?" She turns to me: "Are you the owner or something?" My friend: "Can I get a photo with you, Aaron?" Me: "All right, but make it quick. I'm just trying to pick out a new couch. I don't want a lot of attention." "Who are you?" My friend: "Ma'am, are you kidding? This is Aaron Paul. You know, Jesse Pinkman from Breaking Bad? From the El Camino movie on Netflix?" Her daughter: "No way." My friend: "Oh, but Mr. Paul, sir, did you curse at my patrons? I guess I'm going to have to ask you to leave the store. I mean, it's policy if you are bothering people." Her daughter: No, none of that happened at all. My mom made that up because she was embarrassed. Can I take a photo with you?" Me: I don't really like to do a lot of my friend. Sure you can, honey. I'll take the photo. Give me your phone. Squeeze in, Mr. Paul. My friend is barely holding it together, but I felt bad looping the daughter into this. But then, her mom gets in the photo and puts her arm around me like we're friends. No apology or anything at any point from her, so I didn't feel bad anymore. We took a bunch of photos, then as soon as I had an opportunity, I went home because people were already starting to whisper throughout the store that Aaron Paul was in there buying a couch. In that short period of time, I already had to correct 2 people who stopped me on my way out. Caught up with my friend a few hours later, and apparently the woman picked out a ton of mattress covers, then tried to pay for them in part with an expired coupon, pitched a major fit over the coupon not being accepted, and eventually left without buying anything. And shoutouts to our Re-Generals of the day, Chissy Spider. Look at all those Rees. Veronica, Marlene, and Fernanda. Become tomorrow's Re-Generals by leaving as many Rees as you can in the comments below.